Words cannot describe how different this movie hit. Let's talk about it. Belle. So Belle is directed by Moromu Hosoda, which explains why this feels like a Studio Ghibli movie. It's not a Ghibli movie, but it sure as hell feels like one a lot of the time. Where do I start? Let's start with the fact that I just right out of the gate, I loved this movie. I really did. I thought this movie was incredible. And a big part of that comes down to the theme. I'm going to be jumping around a little bit in this review. There's not a lot that I didn't like, but there are some things that probably need addressing. But the theme. This is a movie that deals very heavily with if you are going through something, because we all have that thing, we all have that problem that we're going through. And this movie, that is this movie, is it deals with it. And it basically tells it through the lens of like VR, like kind of like a VR chat scenario, kind of like the Oasis was from Ready Player One was the big thing that came to mind. It is also a retelling of, sort of, very loose retelling of Beauty and the Beast, which, I'm not going to lie, it took me a bit longer to figure that out than it should have. But it's true. And going on with that theme, the theme hits hard. They nail it on the head. I was tearing up at multiple points throughout this movie. And not only that, a big part of this is the music, because it is kind of like Beauty and the Beast, but with like a Hatsune Miku type deal to it. And so music is a big part of that. And the soundtrack is phenomenal. When I was driving home from the theater, I wasn't listening to anything else. I wasn't listening to anything because it felt just disrespectful. You know what I mean? This soundtrack is amazing, and it definitely is what makes the theme hit as hard as it does. Like, I can't imagine this movie without the soundtrack. The soundtrack definitely made the movie for me, as well as other stuff. But with the two big positives that I have with the movie out of the way, there are a few like nitpicky things I have. Don't get me wrong, I completely forgot. Like, when the movie ended, I had completely forgotten what these were, because I didn't care. There are some times where things happen, like over the course of the movie, our main character is getting some help by these like little critters, and when it's revealed who these little critters are in the real world, I'm like, how? Also, this movie ends very abruptly. Like, there is a line of dialogue, cut to black, title. And on top of that, this movie does have quite a few pacing issues as well. This movie is 2 hours and 1 minute long, and it feels like 5 hours. It really does. But what's strange about that is that I didn't care. Like, when the movie ended, I was like, I could have gone for 3 more hours of that. That was really good. So while it does have pacing issues, it didn't bother me, but I feel like it could bother some very more critical people out there, people who don't really have long attention spans. Granted, I don't have a long attention span, and I was never bored throughout this movie. I had to pee so bad for like an hour, and I didn't, because I was just grabbed by this movie. And that is the thing. This movie opens, and it has you. It absolutely has you. So, yeah, I feel like this review isn't going to be as long or as detailed as they are. My thoughts are just all over the place. I want to see this movie again as soon as possible. This is one of those animes that I would recommend to anybody who doesn't to anyone who doesn't necessarily like anime, because it doesn't feel like. For a big part of that is that it switches from 2D to 3D animation quite often, but it's so seamless. This movie is absolutely gorgeous looking, especially when they're in like the VR chat, like the Oasis area. They call it U is what they call it, just the letter. I also think Uber's going to sue somebody for that logo. But when they're in that world, it is just gorgeous looking. The characters as well, for the most part, are really well written. Our main character, she's going through a lot of shit, and you feel for her, and when she triumphs and when she gets sad, you feel it with every piece of your soul. I think that goes down to, this is one of the best English voice acted things to come out of Japan in a long time. That's coming from somebody who, as you can tell, has a Cowboy Bebop poster on his wall right now. So yeah, I'd say even if you're not a fan of anime, check this out, because this is, like, if you're going through something, this is the best movie to watch. I loved this movie. I want to see it again. I probably will see it again multiple times. I'll probably buy it when it comes out. I hear this movie got a 20-minute standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival, and for some reason that feels like too short of a standing ovation. This probably should have been like an hour standing ovation. With that said, in the case of Belle, for casual viewers, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, which is about as high as I can get. You'll rarely see me ever give a movie 10 out of 10. For critical viewers, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Again, there are some few questions, like fridge logic questions, that you have by the end of this movie. But, you know, you don't care. But that will bug some critics. And like I said, pacing issues. And for me, myself, I'm going to give it an A+. This might very well be my favorite movie to come out in 2022, and I know it technically came out in 2021. That's film festivals act weird because they actually come out earlier. But considering that this movie came out in the theaters near me in 2022, I'm counting it a 2022 movie, even though the Google says it's a 2021 movie. So this is definitely going to be on that top 5 list for sure, if not number 1. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this review. I really hope you guys go and see the movie. I don't know how many theaters it's playing at. I got lucky it's playing at the one near me. But if you get the chance, especially if you get the chance to see this movie in theaters, it is an experience. Go see it. I cannot recommend this movie enough to literally anybody. So with that said, I'm going to leave off here, and I'll see you all later. Ciao!